So, Pokemon Champions, more or less recently, came out. Came out like 2 weeks, 2 and ish weeks ago. And I've been playing it a lot. Like, a lot, a lot. And I've been thinking because uh, of this release and because I've been playing so much, I would do a little recap, reminisce about my time playing Pokemon and getting interested in Pokemon and uh, yeah. So the earliest recognition I have of Pokemon, I think, would probably be from like kindergarten or preschool, something like that. Maybe Montessori, which was like before preschool, where I would have friends who would have Pokemon cards or see things that were Pokemon related or whatever that made me think, oh man, like this is so cool. Creatures that you can have that look cool and like they do what you want and you fight, and like it was just like the coolest possible thing. And I remember back in the day when after I first learned about Pokemon, for my birthdays, I would be told back then, hey, before you blow out the candle, make a wish. That's the thing they do. And every time, oh my god, I would wish that Pokemon were real. That they existed in real life and that you could like battle with them and do all that cool stuff. That was what I wished for every time for my birthday, because I was like, oh my god, like this shit is the coolest possible thing. And for years, I think from then I would wish for this because I was just like so about Pokemon. I was like, this is the best thing. And so when I would go to China, I would go to China like every year. And when I was younger, my parents would get me Chinese dubbed like DVDs of a bunch of miscellaneous shows. There was like a Black Cat Policeman, which is I think Chinese, but and there was like Xiang Yang, which is a Chinese show where there's a bunch of sheep that roam around. But besides like strictly Chinese cartoons, I also got Pokemon DVDs. I got my parents because I was so interested in Pokemon, and because Pokemon was like big enough, they had Chinese dubbed Pokemon DVDs that I would just like watch. And well, we got, and we got like so many of them, but I'm pretty sure they were not sequential. So we would get these DVDs, come back to America, and I would just watch the Chinese like dubbed version, and uh, I watched like all over the place. It was like completely all over the place. Some of it would be when Ash starts off in like the Kanto region with like Brock and Misty, and then like some of it was with like in the Sinnoh region with Dawn. Some of it was in the Hoenn region with May and her fuck ass little brother. But like yeah, I just like I don't think I ever fully finished a season or had context for all of the things that would happen in a season. I would just like watch some of it, and I just like watch it over and over and over again, and that just like fed into my like Pokemon craze. And eventually this was like intermittently like between elementary school or like preschool to elementary school. But when I got to elementary school, specifically when I got to like third grade and I moved to like my second elementary school, I would, after school, there was a program called Clubhouse. My parents would put me in that all the time because they'd be working, and so they'd only be able to pick me up late. But yeah, I would be at Clubhouse, and I would have people there that would have DSs. Now, I knew about DSs because I think they were released a little before then, and I like really, really wanted one. Like I wanted one so fucking bad. I like begged my parents to like get a DS because I was like, oh my god, these games would be like so cool to fucking play, and I like want it so bad. But my parents, specifically my mom, was like, no, you can't have a DS. The screen is too small. Like this was the same reason why she was kind of like, no, you can't have a phone. But she was like, the screen is too small. You're gonna go blind. Your like eyes are gonna be bad if I get you a DS, because you're gonna play it all the time, and you're gonna make your eyes bad. Little did she know, the iPhone 3 that she got me like around that time when I entered 3rd grade was, I like played shit on that all the time and looked at that all the time. So like, and I'm pretty sure that screen was smaller than the DS. So for whatever reason, she applied the logic of small screen to a DS and not a phone, or at least a smartphone, at least not then. And so I couldn't have it. But these kids at Clubhouse did have them. There was one kid, he would have Super Mario Bros. And occasionally he would let me play that, and I was like, oh my god, this is kind of fun, like whatever. But there was another kid. This other kid had Pokemon, and I was like, anytime this kid was there, I would just like I would like watch him play. I'd be like, oh my god, like holy fuck, this is Pokemon. And then sometimes he would like let me play the Pokemon games. I was like, oh my god. And like I think he let me play enough times where I kind of just like had a save file going where I knew most of what was happening. And I think this was Pokemon Black and White. And like I was like, oh man, this is so cool. But eventually, I think there was a period of time in which this kid came to Clubhouse more frequently. But eventually he stopped going as much. And even when he did, he would be like less lenient or less open to just letting me play on his fucking DS all the time. It was also kind of crazy. I'm like, I go to Clubhouse, I go after school, and I ask this kid for his DS, and he's just like, all right, sure, I guess. And then he goes and fucking does whatever for an hour or two. It's kind of crazy that happened. But this coincides with, again, Pokemon Black and White. And this game, holy fuck, I was so in love with the idea of this game. Pokemon Black and White was like, for me, the game I wanted to play so fucking bad. Partially because I had some experience playing it, and I was like, oh my god, like I want to keep playing this game. This game is so cool. Like, but also like around that time, and when I was in elementary school, despite the fact that my mom denied me a DS, she was like, we'll get you this book for Pokemon Black and White. And so, like, Pokemon has this thing where they like release manuals, quote unquote manuals, for each generation. And these manuals will like have all the Pokemon. It's like essentially just all the Pokédex entries for each Pokemon. And then some of them are just that, but some of them have like a little more, and in this case the Pokemon Black and White one had a little more in the back about specific game mechanics, because they introduced some new game mechanics for the game. And my parents got me this, and I was like, holy fuck, I just read like this book. It's like, the way I read this book is like if someone read a dictionary. That's like as much content as there was in the book, essentially. But I just like read this book so often. I like had it in my bed. I would just like read it, and eventually it became like, I read it so often it became like super tattered and worn out. But like Pokemon Black and White, I was like, this was the game I wanted so bad. It came out when I was like perfect DS age. It was like, I got some experience playing it, and I just wanted it so bad, and I was just like denied. And after the kid from Clubhouse left, and or like I just like got to play it less, I was like, oh my god, man, I just want to play the game. I just want it. But it was not to be. It was not to be. And it left me like a little heartbroken. But life goes on. I get to middle school, and in middle school, or sometime before that, I think a family friend. There's a family Asian family friend party, and at this party, one of the kids introduces me to Pokemon Showdown, which is an online battle simulator essentially, and it's like there are a couple of different modes. Like you can build your own teams, you can do random battles, but essentially at the end of the day, there's no like overworld adventuring, there's no anything like that. It's literally just battling Pokemon against random people. And I knew nothing about Pokemon team building, but the thing that my friend introduced me to was the random battles. So you could just queue up a game, could match you against a random person, and you would just battle with a team of 6 random Pokemon that they gave you. And I was like, oh my god, this is like the greatest thing ever. And so like for a good portion of middle school, they gave us Chromebooks, and so I would just do that. I was like, oh my god, like Pokemon is still the greatest. I'm just gonna play this Pokemon Showdown, these like random battles, and then I think dabbled a little in creating some teams, because there are like formats like overused, underused, whatever. They're essentially just different regulations where different Pokemon are allowed. And I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna create my own team. And essentially I didn't like know what was good or what was bad. I just looked at the format and I was like, oh my god, these Pokemon are so cool. I probably like added like Greninja and Gengar and stuff like that. And there was an option to make all the Pokemon shiny. So I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna make my Pokemon shiny. Because and the motivation for doing this was kind of just like, oh my god, it's like I have my own team of Pokemon that like I caught or whatever. But it's just not true. It's just like random Pokemon, because in Pokemon you have to like go out and catch the Pokemon, but on this online battle sim you can just like type in the Pokemon's name, and then it'll just select the Pokemon, and then you can give it the moves, you can give it the stats, whatever, which is like pretty far removed from like the actual catching the Pokemon and adventuring with them experience. But I still felt like, oh my god, this is Pokemon, and so that's why I did that. But that was a big thing that I did in middle school. But another thing that I did at this time was there was another Asian family friend, I think, introduced me to jailbreaking your smartphone. So I don't remember what smartphone I had at this time. I'm pretty sure it was an Apple. I had like an iPhone 3, but I'm pretty sure my iPhone 3 went out of commission at some point. It's possible that I had it into middle school, but at some point in middle school, I think I had some kind of like Samsung-based device, or Android-based device. Regardless, from the end of life of my iPhone 3, probably, to whatever Android device I was carrying, I jailbroke my phone. And the reason why this is important is not because I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna do like so much crazy shit. I was like, oh my god, you can get Pokemon games. Like they had like jailbroken stuff that allowed you to play like the old Pokemon games. And I was like, wow, this might be the greatest thing ever. I can play like the old DS Pokemon games on my phone. And they had a couple other games too. I think they had stuff like Kirby and Mario or like whatever. But my biggest thing was like, oh my god, they got Pokemon, and like you didn't even need Wi-Fi because it was jailbroken. And like also like it's a Pokemon game. What do you need Wi-Fi for? So I was like, I could play it offline whenever. So what I would do is I would like have this thing, and they had like I think all the DS games. They had Pokemon Red, like the slightly remade version. It wasn't like the OG version. They had Heart Gold, Soul Silver. They had Emerald, Sapphire, and Ruby. The old versions, not the like Omega versions. They had Platinum and Pearl. They had even Black and White and Black and White 2, which were the most recent games that they had, because those were the last Pixel games. Or I guess technically X and Y was a Pixel version, but like I think a little less. It was on the 3DS, so I think they like whoever was fucking putting the games on this jailbroken app wasn't able to like emulate that as easily. But I played like not all of them. I think I played Heart Gold, Soul Silver for a good bit. I played through a good bit of Emerald, Ruby, and Sapphire, just like one of them, maybe two of them, honestly. I think it was Emerald, but I don't know. And then I played through a good bit of Pearl, and then Black and White and Black and White 2. Like, especially Black and White 2, because those are like the games that I had like the most emotional attachment to. But I like played all of these games, and I was like, man, this is so crazy, because it allowed me to actually experience the like games I didn't get to experience that I wanted so bad. And I wasn't like so old that I was like, oh man, these games suck. So it was like, yeah, this is great. I actually get to like play these games, and it was great. I love playing through them. But this was like the first inkling of a bit of like, oh man, these games aren't so great, because like not all of these games would I get far in. So I think like for Heart Gold, Soul Silver, I played for a little bit. I think I might have gone to like Fantana or whatever. I don't remember her name. I think she's the ghost type gym leader of that generation. I don't remember getting much further than that. It might not even be Heart Gold, Soul Silver, but I think she's from Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Might not have gotten further than that because I just like maybe was less interested in the Pokemon of the region, or maybe I got lost. Honestly, I might have been so stupid that I just got lost and wasn't able to find my way to the next area after that, or didn't know what to do after that. There's like a lot of instances I think where I would like essentially soft lock myself because I had skipped some dialogue or like ran through some dialogue really quickly and didn't know what I was supposed to do next. And for some reason I didn't think, oh man, like I should search up how to do it. But like for games like that, I think I didn't play through too much of that. I don't think I played through too much of Platinum and Pearl either. I think I played through a good amount of Emerald, and I don't think I got to the Elite Four though even. Like I think for generations 2, 3, and 4, I didn't even get to the Elite Four, which is essentially like the end game. You defeat the Elite Four, you defeat the champion, and then that was generally I think the progression of how the games go. And then you like have the like final boss. I'm not sure if that's before the Elite Four or after, depending on the games. But you would fight like the evil team of the generation. So like for Platinum and Pearl, I guess it would be like Team Galactic, and you would like deal with them. But I didn't like really get there for those 3 generations because I was just like, I didn't like it as much. But like I knew for sure like all these Pokemon from generation 5, and like I was like, oh my god, they're all so cool, and I knew so much about this game. So I played through it and I beat the Elite Four, and honestly I probably played through that game at least twice because I was like, this is so great. I don't think I really completed the end game of it, and for Black and White 2, I don't know if I completed too much of that either, but I digress. I was like, I had a lot of interest in Gen 5 because that was the one I had, grown up with so much interest in. But the other generations I wasn't so attached to, and so I didn't play as much because I didn't really like the game mechanics. It's like when you have to like grind out Pokemon levels and you have to go and like do all these things, do a ton of yapping to random people. It just like was less fun than other games, and so that was like a bit of, not a realization that I had that later, like I was like, oh man, these games aren't necessarily that good, but it was like a little bit of an indication of things to come. But yeah, I even still, with like this slightly diminished interest in my access to these games, I still played the games a lot, and I still knew a lot about Pokemon. Like I especially from playing, I think, Pokemon Showdown, I just recognized so many Pokemon. I just, like, if you gave me a shadow, and even still now today, if you give me like one of those who's that Pokemon shadows, I would just be able to tell you like almost all of them, maybe like all of them even. As long as it's like up to Gen 5. Like once it got to Gen 6, I started like falling off a little, not paying as much attention to new Pokemon. But if it was up to Gen 5, back then, for sure, I'd be like, oh my god, I know this shit. So I was like on top of it back then. And then also, I think this was a little after I had stopped wishing for Pokemon to be real on my birthdays. But when I was a little older, or like in middle school as well, I think like towards the end of middle school, like 2017-ish maybe, they released Pokemon Go, or they had a trailer for Pokemon Go, and they released it. So for the trailer, I remember watching it, because this first trailer that they dropped for Pokemon Go, holy fuck, man. Like they had Pokemon like on like it's just like an AR game, but they had these Pokemon like out in the real world, right? Because this is a game trailer, they could make whatever the fuck up they want, and so they would have Pokemon in the real world, and I was like, holy shit, it's like what I wished for. I was like dead ass. I was like, holy fuck, it's like real. This is what I wanted. Oh my god. I was like freaking out about it. And I remember, I think it released while I was in summer camp, but I think either I didn't have a smartphone at that time, or my smartphone was like super shit / didn't have the space, or it might have had the space and I tried to download it and I realized it wouldn't work. Because I remember what I also did was I downloaded it on like an iPad or something. But whatever I downloaded it on, whatever I tried to do at this summer camp, I could not make it work. Because if I had a phone, yeah, it didn't have service. Because maybe I did have a smartphone and I tried to download it, and like I didn't have service because my parents were like, you don't need like service for anything but phone calls. So it was like the super most minimal bare bones service for the phone, and so I couldn't like actually run Pokemon Go because it like if I tried to boot it up, it just like wouldn't work, and so like I would have to go off of the Wi-Fi. But like the way Pokemon Go works is you need to be like walking around and shit. And on this like at the summer camp, there were only a few places where you could actually, like, we would be in class or whatever, because it was that kind of summer camp, and you could be there and then you could like play Pokemon Go for a little bit. But especially then, like if you were sitting still, there were like no Pokemon that would spawn around you. So And also, like, I couldn't get Pokestops because there were no Pokestops near where my class was, and I would like, so even if like a random Pokemon spawned, there would be like, I was like running out of Pokeballs because there was no way for me to get Pokestops, because if I walked out of range of like my class or whatever, or walked around to try and get it, I wouldn't be able to because I didn't have service. So it was like super fucked up. And also, especially on release, Pokemon Go was like maybe one of the most underwhelming things ever. It had the basic 151 Pokemon, but it was not really that good. They had just like only had the ability to catch Pokemon and like spin Pokestops, and that was pretty much it. Like, they had some rare Pokemon. Like, there was the whole craze back when it released where like, oh my god, there's a Snorlax over there. Oh my god, there's a Charizard over there. And like, you would like, there'd be a horde of people going over there. But in actuality, the game was kind of shit. And so like, even still, even with all that, even with the disappointment of it not being like what the trailer was and being what I like wished for, and even not being able to play it, I was still like, oh my god, this is still pretty cool. But the fact that I wasn't able to play it, I was just like, ah, man, like, it sucks. But I remember coming back from the summer camp, I told my mom about Pokemon Go. I was like, oh my god, like, look at this. It's like you can catch Pokemon if you just like walk around and go in real life, you can catch them, and it's like a real life thing, and you can do it on your phone. And my mom was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And so like, I was able to play it, but my mom was, and she got like super into it. And like, I think after a little bit I was able to play it, and I played for a little bit, but then eventually I was like, oh man, this is kind of boring. And also, like, I don't have that many opportunities to like walk around still, because I think most of what I was doing is just like getting value out of just like being in Wi-Fi areas still. But my mom would play it a lot, and she would like go out to walk around places, and then she would go on a walk in a park, for instance, and then she would just like catch Pokemon there. And she did this so often, like, she did it into when I was in high school, and like during this time she had like, she went like crazy. I think she got to like the max level at that time, the max level cap, and she would like be so into it, and like she would be like XP maxing. She got so into it that she would like catch a bunch of like shitty Pokemon, like Pidgeys, Caterpies, stuff like that. And then she would like fill up her entire box with all these shitty Pokemon, and then she would sit at our dinner table, pop a lucky egg, which gives 2 times XP, and then level up these shitty Pokemon, because each Pokemon, when you evolve them, you evolve them, every Pokemon you evolve gives you 1000 XP, and if you pop the lucky egg, it gives you 2 times XP. So she would just do that. Like, I think 3 to 4 times a week she would get enough Pokemon to fill her box, and then she would just pop a lucky egg at the dinner table, and then just fucking AFK scroll, evolve all these shitter Pokemon, and then she would just dust them and transfer them for like more candies. It was crazy. And at this point, I think they might have added gyms or whatever into Pokemon Go, but it was crazy. She got like super into it. But I think eventually she got bored. It was just like there wasn't enough content, and so she stopped. Or it's possible that the reason why she stopped was because she was like, this is too addicting. I'm like spending too much time doing it or whatever, and so she stopped. But yeah, I think it's also, I think Pokemon Go was also just generally the perfect storm kind of game for a lot of just Asian parents, because I remember, and even still I think a lot of Asian parents will just like play Pokemon Go. They'll just like walk around, catch Pokemon and whatever, and like I'm not sure if they're like, they'll do raids and stuff sometimes, and like put their Pokemon in gyms and all that stuff. And I'm not sure how much they really know about the Pokemon or like care, but like they do it and they like play the game. It's kind of crazy. It's got a pretty big base, and to be fair now too, like Pokemon Go is a lot better than it used to be. But yeah, it's like as well. That was another phase of my Pokemon life. And then in high school, I think I got access to still not a phone with service. But I got access to an iPad, and so I was just like able to play like a ton of games on my iPad. But and I had like a PC again, so I got a lot more into like PC gaming. So like Pokemon fell to the like back burner a little bit, but I think at this point I was still like playing some of the like emulated versions or whatever. And then I think deeper into high school, I got like an emulated version of like, or I got like a laptop, like a Mac laptop, and I had a friend who was like, "Oh my God, do you want to like try and do like a Nuzlocke with me?" Which is just like a special version of Pokemon where if your Pokemon faint at all, they're just like dead. You can't use them anymore, and you can only catch one Pokemon per route. But he was like, "Do you want to do one?" And I was like, "I don't really know how I can." And he was like, "You like I got this thing on I've got an emulator on a laptop that you can do that. I can help you download it." Like I remember going through the process of being like, "Holy fuck, this is like." I have no idea what's happening, and just like downloading random shit, but I got to it and it worked, and then I played through it then. And like at this point in high school, I was like, man, these games kind of suck. Partially because I think the Nuzlocke rules make like Pokemon a little less fun, but even still, I was like, I think I was playing Pokemon Black, or maybe Black 2, White 2, or whatever. And this generation that I like really loved and whatever, I couldn't like really play through it because it just wasn't that good, because there's just like so much yapping, and like the gameplay loop is just not really that satisfying, because a lot of it you just run into the same Pokemon encounters over and over again. And I was like, yeah, this isn't that good. And this was kind of a pattern that followed into college, because like they released the Switch, right? But they had Pokemon Sword and Shield and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet come out on the Switch. But I was looking at it, I was like, wow, like these games don't look that fun. And this also coincides with a lot of people online like lambasting these games, being like, man, what the fuck is Game Freak doing? Like, they're making Pokemon games so shit these days. And so with that general sentiment, I was like, man, like, these games probably aren't really worth it. I didn't like, I think my mom even asked me if I wanted the Pokemon games, because she remembered my interest in Pokemon, and I was like, no, I don't think I really need it. Like, it's probably okay. I would like rather play something else. And she's a little sad, but like, I think eventually she got just like, oh, I remember what it was. I think Pokemon Legends Arceus came out, and this was after the disaster classes of Scarlet and Violet, Sword and Shield, I think, where people were like, oh my god. But I was like, oh my god, this actually looks kind of cool. There's like a new gameplay system, there's a bunch of new stuff, it's like open world, it's like kind of cool. And I think I was like, oh my god, like, Mom, we should get this one. And she got it, and I like super played it for a little bit, and then I like fell off of it. I don't think it's like super bad or anything. It's actually like okay, but it suffers from the same problem that Pokemon just suffers from, which is just that the gameplay loop is kind of, it's just the battling Pokemon is kind of whatever. It's kind of samey, and having to deal with a bunch of NPCs just fucking talking is a pain. It's like the reason why Genshin Impact and fucking Star Rail are bad too, or get old at least. And so I fell off of it, and I'd still be. I think eventually I'll get back to completing that. Like maybe I'll slowly complete it if on flights or travel times I'll like complete it on the Switch. But yeah, I fell off of that, and so the general trend has been in more recent times that I've been falling off Pokemon. I still like I said, I still can remember all of or a lot of the Pokemon up to Gen 5 and even some Pokemon past then because I still like was kind of paying attention, but like especially with the more recent generations, there are Pokemon like it used to be where for like Gen 6 or Gen 7 there would just be like one or two Pokemon that I would be like, oh yeah, I don't really know them, or like, oh wow, I haven't seen that one before. And or like for the ones it would be like, oh man, like I don't know that one's name, but I have seen that one before, I do recognize it for sure. But now it's like I'll see a bunch of fucking Pokemon from like Scarlet and Violet, and I'm like, wow, I just don't know what that shit is. And like I don't know Paradox Pokemon, I don't know like random shit. And so yeah, I was like, okay, fucking I fell out of it, though recently-ish, I think like a year and a half ago, they released Pokemon TCG Pocket, where it's literally just like every day you get some packs and you can open the packs and get Pokemon cards on your phone. And I downloaded that and played that because I was like, oh, I mean, it's just Pokemon and it's free. Like you could pay for more packs or whatever, but like you get 2 every day and you can just open them and get cool cards. Like, well, why not? And I played that for like a pretty long time. I think there's also like a little bit of an aspect of competing, which is the most interesting part to me, where you could like take those cards and then play like a miniature TCG version on your phone against like random people. But like still, it's just like kind of terrible. It's like pretty lobotomized in the sense that it's like maybe the most like rock paper scissors like straightforward card game. Like there's some decisions you have to make that can affect the game, but like not really that much. So like that wasn't that great. And then eventually like slowly, like despite the fact that it's like the main appeal is just like, oh, cool cards, like I just fell off of it. But most recently, right, back to Pokemon Champions. Pokemon Champions released, and it was like, oh my god, like this is probably the aspect of Pokemon that I as of late have been most interested in. It's like the side that drew me to playing like Pokemon Showdown a ton and draws me to like video games in general now is like that competitive aspect. And in Pokemon Showdown, like I did mostly random battles, and so I had never really done Pokemon battles against other people with like a team that I had. It was like because I never played a Pokemon game when there were other people like playing them. I played the emulated version, so I couldn't really like battle other people besides the NPCs. And like those would be the experiences where I would create the team, and then for Pokemon Showdown I would just get random teams. So like this was like, oh my god, this is like the perfect storm, right? Because despite my Pokemon interest fading like a slight amount, like I still like Pokemon, right? I still have a fondness for Pokemon, and it also has the aspect of Pokemon that I enjoy the most. And so I get to this game and like, holy fuck, it's pretty good. There's some issues, like there's the fact that there's some bugs. I like ran into a bug with I think like Rain and Cloud9 from Drampa, and there's some issues like this Floette Pokemon being like God. This fucking Floette Pokemon is it's one specific Floette that you can only get from playing Pokemon Legends ZA, which is their most recent like Pokemon game. And it's like the strongest Pokemon in the game. Everyone is like counter building it and trying to make sure they have some way to deal with it in their team. And I just can't get it because I don't have the game, nor do I want to pay $60-$70 to play the Pokemon Legends ZA. I'm not even sure if it's on the Switch. It might even just be a Switch 2 exclusive. I don't think it is, but even still, I'm like, okay, that's cool. And also, the other day I was trying to make a fucking team for Mamoswine, and I was like, wait, like, I need like a special attack Mega that is like really, really strong. Would be perfect for this, that would go really well with Mamoswine. It would be Delphox. Mega Delphox is also gated behind fucking Pokemon Legends ZA. Like, you can get regular Delphox from the game, but you can't get Mega Delphox. You need the specific Delphox to be transferred from Pokemon Legends ZA with the Delphoxite from that game. So it's just like, man, what the heck? That kind of sucks. Also, another thing that sucks, you have 50 box space. You can only have 50 Pokemon, which sounds like a lot, right? Because a team only needs 6 Pokemon, but it like heavily handicaps your ability to make multiple teams because there are like a lot of Pokemon that are like good, and like those are like solid building blocks for teams, and so and there's so many Pokemon even still, so it just sucks. But even despite these issues, it's just like, wow, Pokemon is like really fun because the strategy that goes into like, oh, like how am I gonna build out these teams, how am I gonna like fight against other teams, is just like really cool to think about. And it's just like it's like a card game that has fucking creatures that I have a memory of. So it's really cool. It's really fun. And yeah, this is my Pokemon journey till now. All right, you can watch me finish the rest of this lace fight.